Hello everyone. Me and probably one more session stands between you and the end of the day. So I'll try and keep it crisp, but feel free to give me feedback whether I'm going too fast or I'm going too slow. Okay, let's start. Good friends at Slido have sort of helped me. Request everyone to scan that QR. There's a question. It helps me set context before I begin. And the question's this. What do you know about the whole truth? Assuming you do know about the whole truth, what do you know about the whole truth? And if you don't, you can just say, haven't heard of the brand, whatever feels comfortable. We'll probably take 30 seconds to see what answers everyone's giving. Yeah, and I didn't write those sample ones. Huh? It was one of the WebEngage people who was helping me out. Maybe a few more answers, and then we'll get into it. I like that. I like the answer that says clueless, because the day in an August gathering like this, I really don't have to introduce the brand. That day, my job's done. Okay, so I'm happy that there's still scope for us to improve. There's still scope for us to do better. That's great. Not heard, have heard of it. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for this feedback. Okay, so who are we? We are, as we say, India's first 100% clean label food brand. So what does that mean? We make... Hello. Am I in control? Trust. So that's the why of why do we exist. We want to rebuild, the world's trust in its food. How do we go about, what do we do for it? The biggest weapon in a typical marketeer's armory is using as limited truth as they can get away with. So half-truths are quite dangerous. They're often worse than outright lies. So we said if half-truth is the problem, the whole truth is the solution. We will always share the whole truth with everyone. And, that will make it easier for people, not just to build trust, but also to understand how food, fitness, and nutrition actually works. And how do we go about doing it? We make packaged food with few clean ingredients, all of which you would be comfortable using in your kitchen at home. And because we use only few clean ingredients, we are actually able to put, all the ingredients on the front of the pack here. So this one's made with peanuts, cocoa, dates, and whey. That's it. So that's our USP. That's who we are. 0% refined sugar, 0% chemicals of any kind. That's what we stand for. And that's what has made us, who we are today. Hopefully for those of you who know about the brand, who've tried the brand, you will agree with me when I say that this is a brand where I see uncommon amount of love from people. So the rest of the session is about how did we actually go about cultivating this? Why do we have some of the strongest repeat metrics, retention metrics in our cohort? Okay, so here's our journey. We started almost 4 years ago now with, protein bars. So why did we start with this category? We said this is a category that's unclean, but fundamentally marketing itself to evolved shoppers. People who buy a protein bar are actually actively looking to make a healthy lifestyle choice. And therefore, this is the proof of concept. Can we talk to these people and tell them how their food could be cleaner, how their food could be tastier? And that's what we launched with. We launched with these 3 bars. We expanded our catalog slowly. So people gave us feedback saying all the 3 bars that we had chocolate in them. Some people said, I don't like cocoa so much. Can you give me a change of pace? So we launched a couple of more protein bars which didn't have cocoa. And then some people came and said, you have about 12, 13 grams of protein. Can I get something with higher grams of protein? And then we said, okay, let's launch a protein bar that has 15 grams of protein in it. So that's how we expanded slowly, tentatively, fine. And then we just kept listening to people because people kept talking to us. People kept telling us whatever they wanted, and we kept, sort of just an open ear and, a warm embrace when people gave us comments. So we launched mini protein bars, which was an innovation that stemmed from people telling us that, look, your food is very satiating. When I have one bar of protein, it fills me up. And sometimes I don't want to be so full. So I eat half a bar and keep the rest and have it later. So can you do something about this? So that's when we launched a mini protein bar. It turned out to be a particularly big hit with kids and with women who were watching what they were eating. It's about a 150 calorie snack. And then we launched energy bars. People gave feedback saying, look, I have lactose intolerance. I'm not able to have your bars with whey protein. Can you make me a vegan option instead? We said, okay, let's take the same formula. Again, few clean ingredients, all mentioned on the front of the pack, and we made energy bars. So we were in bars for about the first year odd of our existence. We didn't move beyond that. Bars is fundamentally a on-the-go snacking kind of category. Fine, it's not a destination category, right? So we said, look, we are not here just to solve for bars. We are here to solve for any and every category. And I'll talk about the framework that we use to shortlist later in the presentation. And then we launched breakfast. So we launched nut butters first, and after nut butters, we launched breakfast muesli. It's very easy to lose sight of your core. We always believed that our core was not bars. Our core was truth. So when we made a nut butter, we actually made it with just one ingredient. My peanut butter has one ingredient, that's peanut. I have a chocolate peanut butter that has 3 ingredients, chocolate, dates, and peanut. That's it. We kept it 100% clean. And then we launched breakfast muesli. Now, muesli has many ingredient groups. Muesli is essentially a mixture, right? So what did we do differently there? We said, look, guys, the clicker's malfunctioning. Yeah, we said, most breakfasts in India, whether you take paratha in the north, idli in the south, you take poha in the west, all of it is extremely carb heavy. So you end up consuming far greater percentage of the carb goal for the day, and you start with a deficit on protein and fat. So we made a muesli that was balanced. If breakfast is one of the 3 meals in the day, you should end up getting about a third of your macros from protein, fat, and carbs in your meal. So that's how we designed this muesli. Okay. Now, the next step was even more interesting because all of these categories, nut butter, muesli, bars, are all healthy. And we asked ourselves, what is our core? Are we a health food brand? And we said, no, we are not a health food brand. We are a truth brand, which means we should be able to take the same concept and also do categories that predominantly sell on indulgence. So that's where we went with next. We launched chocolates. Okay. So dark chocolate, 2 ingredients, cocoa and dates. 0% refined sugar, 0% chemicals of any kind. Milk chocolate, 3 ingredients, 1 extra ingredient, milk. And, while we were doing this, we were thinking, what if people who trust us end up thinking, now that the whole truth is made chocolates, lovely, it'll be healthy, I'm going to have the whole bar at one shot. We said, no, that's a disaster because you do not want anyone to have, 50, 80 grams of chocolate in one sitting. Fine. Even if it is dates, it has lower glycemic index than sugar, it's still sugar. That much amount of sugar in one sitting is not good for anyone. So we thought about it and we built a portion control nudge into the pack itself. So if you're wanting to indulge, it gives you a second to think of, okay, what is the size of indulgence that I want to do today? How happy am I feeling? Have I got a new job? Or, has my team won a match? Fine. And you can decide what size of chocolate you want to break and have at that moment. We kept innovating within categories. We did a 20-gram protein bar because athletes in our community kept asking us that I need more. We did badam chocolate, which is clutter-breaking innovation in the category because it doesn't have It does not have any, it's 25% almonds and 75% chocolate. There's nothing like that in India. No consumer could have told us they wanted that. Uh, we did, okay, so we did product collaborations with other brands, which our consumers also liked consuming. So we did a dark chocolate with Blue Tokai, we launched a protein bar with Ultra Human, we did a granola with Sleepy Owl. What all of this does is it deepens engagement with the people who already use us, and it provides a vehicle for users of other brands like these, fine, to know about us and to have a chance to try us. Okay, so all of this sounds great in retrospect. Very honestly, once you do well, you tend to assume that, there's a survivorship bias, that every decision that came to your head was brilliant. Uh, I actually think that as you work on extending catalog, the biggest thing is to figure out how not to lose the consumers you already have. Because you start with a promise. And as you expand, it's very important that the promise that you're making does not get diluted. Because if it gets diluted, you lose the people that you already have. So how do we go about thinking about how do we expand the catalog in a way it is accretive, that the categories per users also increases and the number of users who come in also increases. So it's a double whammy because I need both the numerator and the denominator to go up. So how do we do it? The first filter we use is reason to exist. Is the category fundamentally unclean? If the category is not unclean, if it's very clean, there's no role for me, in that category. If the category is unclean, the second filter is actually, can I get trials in the category? And how does that come from? I will only make a 100% clean product, but I have to be able to make it at a reasonable price, else no one will try me. And I have to be able to make it with reasonable shelf life, else by the time the shoppers get my product, it would have aged and the consumer experience would be poor. Assuming we can cross both of these, then is the product at least as tasty as the incumbent? Because that gives us the right to get repeats. People might try it because they like the brand, but they will only repeat it if the product is tasty. It has to be at least as tasty as the product it is aiming to replace in the pantry. In the tags session, also they articulated that nobody really gives up taste in this country in food. And the last one is actually a prioritization grid. If several categories actually slip through this, and we have 3, 4 that we have to launch, then we prioritize based on, do we have, what is the size of price versus probability of success? So there are products that are 10x better than something in market. For those products, I'm willing to build the extra muscle required in order to learn an entire new category and business. There are products that do not have, that are maybe 2x, 3x better than something in market. They will only get launched if they can fit within the existing muscle and organizational skill that I already possess. Because catalog expansion is fundamentally a capital allocation decision at a business level. So that's the framework that we typically use to figure out which categories we want to play in. That's not all. I thought I would make one more point before I got off the stage. This is how we typically think, right? There are unaware consumers, they become aware, then they become interested, then they eventually buy. And once they buy, we focus on, are they repeating? Are we able to retain them long term? All of that's great. But there is a segment of people who were interested in the brand, but they haven't bought it yet. We prefer to think of this as acquisition of attention. I have acquired the attention of the consumer. I've acquired them mentally, even though I've not been able to acquire them materially yet. And therefore, the amount of effort we put in tracking repeats and retention, etc., for people who buy us, we also track, are we able to maintain the engagement of people who, for whatever reason, showed some interest towards us. And the most cost-effective way of doing this, which also aligns brilliantly with our mission to, sort of rebuild the world's trust in its food, is content. So I'm sorry, animations are off, so the slides are looking busy. Apologies for that. So we run a food and fitness newsletter called Truth Be Told. about 12K subscribers with about 60% open rate, twice the industry average. Fine. Every week, Saturday, it goes out. And excerpts from that are, sort of put up on our Instagram page where more than 2.5 lakh people follow us and, consume the content we put out. We do a video essay series called The Whole Truth Academy, where we think of it as in schools, ideally they should be teaching us basics of food, fitness, nutrition. It is certainly more useful than trigonometry and which king fought what war in what year. Fine. They just don't teach us that, so we try to fill that educational gap here. We also meet up with people who have had deep personal fitness journeys and do podcasts with them. That's called The Whole Truth Project. And we house all our original content in our website. So we are actually two companies rolled into one. We are a product company that makes and sells food. We are a content company that creates, content. So all of that content is housed in the website. In prime real estate, you'll see two tabs called Shop and Learn. And the Learn tab is how people who might not be buying me today still remain engaged with the brand. They're still following me. They're still reading stuff. I'm still, having some small share of their mind, which eventually, when I expand the catalog and launch either a category that they find more relevant than the ones that I have, or a price point that they find more relevant than ones that I have today, will actually drive conversion. So we did all of this. We realized that people don't want, information at random points of time. They prefer it to be interactive and on demand. So first we launched a dictionary where you could come and search any chemicals that you find in any packet of food. You flip it, you'll see maltodextrin, INS, E, INS, A. You can just go search and it will tell you in an expert yet accessible way, what should you actually do with this chemical that's in your food. And we recently launched a chatbot. We call it Truth GPT. If any of you have time, please do try it out. I've been told that it's very sassy. So the chatbot is trained on all our original content. So you can go and ask a nuanced question and still expect an answer that you can take away, remember, and use. So that's how we try to hold the attention of people whose interest and attention we've acquired, even though we've not acquired their business as of yet. Hopefully we'll do that in the future. That's all, folks. Thank you. Happy to take questions. Someone getting a mic? How did I do on time? Okay, thanks. One target achieved for the day.
Actually, I wanted to know one thing, right? So this is an industry that is dominated by, I think, a lot of companies like Britannia and, whatnot. So what challenge do you see, in a market where consumers are already so, brainwashed, I would say, towards eating something that is so attractive? So how do you make your audience unlearn, right? Because if someone starts preaching, eat healthy, eat, go to a gym and do all of this, I'll get bored after a point. I'll get irritated. So what is your content strategy for that?
I think the way we approach it is people have to be in the stage of life where they are seeking more information. Fine. You can't, sort of bring people to that through advertising. It is ruinously expensive. We are too small. We don't have that kind of budget. Fine. But if a lot of people are actually in the realm of seeking information, but if you go to Google and search for something, you will find so much stuff there with so much moral hazard. Fine, influencer is telling you how to, exercise and says resistance band is the best and buy this brand and get a discount. Fine, you have some website that is telling you 8 ways to get healthy abs. Something else is telling you 32 uses of avocado. Fine, it's all made for, short attention spans, something that you can latch on to quickly and not really nuanced enough for people to actually apply it to their lives. What happens is you get sold, a bridge, you buy it, and then you realize it doesn't work. And then you lose interest and motivation in the process. So what we try and do is if you're someone who's seeking information, our job is to give you great educational content delivered in an entertaining and accessible way. And if that's for you, you learn something, you keep coming back, you keep learning, and hopefully it leads you to making smarter choices in your food, fitness, nutrition. And if that does, we are on our way to achieving our mission. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi. Thank you for the presentation. Actually, I came across Whole Truth Foods first in Gulfit. That's where I. So my question is, see, it's a great product, and I love consuming it. But at the end of the day, like he mentioned, you're competing with the Nestle's of the world, and costs are optimized by backward integration of the supply chain. Now, if you have to reach the tier 2, tier 3 cities, that means you're again fighting against the distribution and the cost effectiveness which they're bringing. So, for a brand like you, how do you deal with those issues?
It's an interesting question, and I'll probably start with a small anecdote. So, when we started business, we actually went around asking people, saying, manufacture this product for us. We have a great recipe. And people looked us up and down and said, "Ye sab nahi ban payega." People told us that, this is what I can make. Ye chahiye to le lo. And we realized that I can't fix what is broken by using the exact same instruments of the person breaking it. Fine. So then we got our own machinery. We put up our own kitchen. We employ about 200 women from poorer sections of society in Mumbai. Fine. We put a plant in the middle of Mumbai because we didn't know any better. Sometimes idiocy has its own benefits. Okay. So we produced our own food. Fine. That was the way we were able to maintain the quality and promise we gave to the shopper. So when it came to distribution, we started with our own website. Only when we saw proof of concept, we said, "Chalo, Amazon chalte." Most of our expansion has been inbound because till recently, we could not produce enough to meet all the demand that we were getting. And therefore, we didn't have to go out and, fight and negotiate and get into somewhere because, whatever stock we could make, we were able to sell. And that's, it's a good position to be in, won't always be that way. We have now ramped up capacity, so now there's pressure to figure out how do you sell it in a way that's profitable and, doesn't just burn the pants off you. Fine. I won't proclaim that I have a formula that nobody else has found. We're still finding it as we go through every day. But what we are very clear on is we are here for the long term, and we will only work in ways that are sustainable long term with people who we think we can grow with long term. So we take that lens, apply it, whatever falls through, we make choices between that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I understand that you mentioned that we are a truth brand, and
Yeah.
we mentioned the ingredients right away, right there. But how do you position your brand? You position your brand as a healthy food company or healthier option in the market? Because one brand hires Virat Kohli, and Virat Kohli mentions that these chips are baked, but it has palm oil, right? And the other brand mentions that this chips doesn't have palm oil, but they are fried.
So honestly, the answer to that, at least our version of it, lies with the ingredients. Don't go by people telling you, "Isme ye nahi hai." Go by people telling you, "Isme kya hai." And once you know all the ingredients, don't go by claims on process, don't go by claims on जो ingredient नहीं है, don't go by claims on इस पे aloe vera है, हाँ है 0.1% है, क्या हो जाएगा उससे? Fine. Instead, look at what all are the ingredients that the brand is saying. Are all those names familiar to you? Fine. That's our approach, and that's what we try to, sort of educate people on. That just look at ingredients, look at the back of pack. There is a reason why, ingredients are mostly hidden in microscopic font, at the back of pack. There are some places where you'll actually have to take the pack, turn it, and then flip over a sealing area layer in order to see what the ingredients are. Fine. And it's by design. People hide it because probably if you saw it, you wouldn't make that purchase decision. And therefore, what people are trying to hide from you is exactly the thing that you actually need to see in order to make an educated choice. Did that answer your question? Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Sriram. My name is Emil. I come from a marketing agency background, so there are certain things that I wanted to ask. I'm assuming that your acquisition cost might be a bit higher, and you also showed the funnel that where you're not only targeting people who have purchased, but you are also targeting people who are interested as well. So on the retention side of thing, how are you guys playing, like what's your game and how good is your retention marketing channel? I'm a bit very curious about it. Reason being is Meta is not in favor to any D2C brands right now and to agencies like us. So how is it working out for you guys?
Actually, on the whole, our acquisition costs are lower than what we understand the industry benchmark to be. Fine, you guys will know benchmarking much better than me. And the reason for that is a typical cost per conversion by showing a product ad, or cost per click by showing a product ad, is 10 times more expensive for me than showing an ad on content. Because content is something that people want to know, want to read, want to see. Versus product is something where I'm rudely interrupting, them looking at whatever cat photos and telling them, why don't you buy my product? So our way of gauging interest, as I said before, if you're not in the mindset of wanting to know more information about, health and food and fitness, then we are probably not going to appeal to you all that much. Fine. So it self-selects when we first acquire people through content into the middle of the funnel, keep them in the middle of the funnel through content, while trying to convert them through, performance ads on top of it. So our acquisition costs are what I think are lower than benchmark. Fine. And our lifetime values are really, really good because, as I said, we have a promise that's fairly simple to understand, that's fairly difficult to live up to. Fine. So product after product, category after category, when we are able to live up to it, we see trust getting reinforced and, the foundations getting built stronger and stronger and stronger. So trust is something that I don't think people understand, that it compounds with time. Fine. So the more we go, I think the better off we will be. And hence the aim is to survive.
Got it. And what channel supports you on the retention marketing side? Like, does WhatsApp work for you or does email work for you?
Honestly,
is there any trend such as like for
WhatsApp works, email works, both give good ROAS. But as I said, bulk of my retention happens from content. It does not happen from ads that I run in any form. It's not paid advertising. Of course, I pay to create. We have an in-house media lab. We spend a lot of time and effort in creating content. Fine. Bulk of my engagement actually happens through content. And that's where people come to the website from, and that's how they migrate. It's a long-winded funnel with a longer lead time, but net funnel costs are, again, what I believe to be lower than industry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks everyone.
WebEngage. Retention simplified.